Hello again, everybody. I'm Matthew White, and welcome to another edition of FYI, right here on the Real Estate Channel. My guest today in studio is Ron Usher from Bell Alliance. Ron, welcome to the show.
Great, thanks. Great to be here.
Great. Now, for those of you who don't know, let me just get a little idea of what you guys do at Bell Alliance, yourself personally as well.
That's a good question. Bell Alliance is a real estate law firm. So there's two partners, Richard Bell and myself, and it's a real estate firm. The work we do is pretty exclusively in the area of real estate, purchase, sale, and refinancing.
So a person would call you first, email you, get in touch with you, and then come in and sit down with you and work that stuff out?
Exactly. So typically people will hear about us through their realtor, through their mortgage broker, through a friend.
Right.
They found our website. And typically the first question is, I bought something, what do I do now?
Right. And of course you can show them the way.
Exactly.
Now, how did you yourself get into law?
That's a good question. You know, I actually started out, I had a degree in psychology. I was working for groups with the disabled, actually. It was very clear to me I just wanted something that would be more of a career, more independent. And so I went to law school. Started practice in Vernon, BC, in a small town there. Got involved then as the in-house counsel to a computer company. And that just led over the years to various law jobs. I worked then 8 years for the Law Society, which is the regulatory body for lawyers, and I became their sort of in-house real estate lawyer. So issues would come up about real estate. There were a lot of innovations in practice. And so I got to spend a lot of time on sort of the advanced side of real estate practice.
So you had the information to begin with. They could just turn to you and bam, you were ready to go.
Yeah, it was really great in that way because, of course, the Law Society deals with all of the lawyers in BC, and real estate law was one of those ones that was undergoing both a lot of changes and a lot of concern. So.
Do you find that the psychology background helps you in the legal aspect of things, understanding people?
I hope so. You know, it's a big step for people. I mean, you know, we deal with a lot of first-time buyers, and it's, you know, there's a lot. There's both obviously the legal aspect of it, there's the financial, but for many people, it's quite a big commitment in their life.
Let's get into the actual legal aspect of things. What do you think has been the biggest change in the practices of residential real estate lawyers over the past few years? What have you find to be the biggest changes?
Sure, I think absolutely the biggest change has been the coming in of technology.
Right.
Just the tremendous changes in that, in particular, electronic filing. I mean, this used to be a very paper-intensive business. In 1989, our province changed all the forms to make them much simpler. But the real revolution was about 2 years ago, when instead of even those simpler pieces of paper going to the land title office, it became an electronic delivery system. And even now, only 25% or so of the transactions are being done in that way. But it's how we're fully doing it. And it radically changes the dynamics of a real estate closing.
Now, this is one of those questions that's, of course, a little harder to answer, but why would someone choose you guys, a client, potential client?
It is a good question, and partly the Bell Alliance was set up quite deliberately to be the sort of the state-of-the-art in terms of real estate law practice. So Richard and I, in that sense, had the benefit of looking what other people had been doing, taking advantage of his background and mine, and saying, okay, if we had the chance to set up a firm from scratch in 2006, what would be the absolutely best way to do it? We had no legacy to take care of. We had, in a sense, a tremendous opportunity to say, what's the best way to do that? And mainly that involved a substantial investment in really two things. In the state-of-the-art technology, to take advantage of e-filing, of all of the internet, all of the ways in which we now gather and process information. We could get to choose the best currently available software. And then to combine that with both Richard and I's emphasis on personal service. So it's kind of, we think the idea was have the best of both worlds. The state-of-the-art technology, and then have the technology allow us to have the time to offer the personal service.
And of course the knowledge that goes with that.
Exactly.
Well, tell us about the name Bell Alliance. I guess it could cause a little bit of confusion with some people.
Exactly. We've had all sorts of interesting variations on it. Bell Alliance, people think it was a French name, or Bell Telephone.
Right.
My partner is Richard Bell. Richard is a well-known Vancouver lawyer. He was the founder of what was the largest real estate law firm in BC, then was in Toronto for a number of years. So it comes from his name. So it's not connected to Bell Telephone or anything else. And the alliance idea was to both reflect really how our vision of it, that our practice is an alliance with the referral sources, the realtors and mortgage brokers, and with our clients. So we wanted a name that wasn't so much focused on our personalities, but reflected kind of what the approach we wanted to take to law.
What are the requirements to qualify as a first-time buyer under the Provincial Property Transfer Tax Act?
That's a good question, and it's just changed recently. I guess there's several key points. One is the property needs to be in a certain price range.
Right.
And what's recently changed, it was up to $375,000. You can qualify for a complete exemption, and then the next 25, so between 375 and 400, you could get a partial exemption. So that's the number one key. What's the price of the property you're buying? And what's good about the new price is that it works well in the Vancouver market now. That applies to the whole province. You have to be able, you're going to live in the property.
Right.
You've got to finance at least 70% of it. You need to be a Canadian citizen or a landed immigrant, and you have to be a legal resident in Canada.
So there's a certain checklist of parameters you have to
Exactly, and you have to live in it within 90 days of owning it.
Right.
You have to have the financing for at least a year. So there's about 10 different things, but for many first-time buyers, it's terrific because it saves them a lot of money in that buying.
Now, do you feel in your line of work you need to be tech savvy yourself, or do you leave that to, say, some young assistant that takes care of that for you?
You know, it's absolutely necessary to be on top of the technology. We could not be doing our work that everybody in the office, from the receptionist to Richard and I, we all need to be very comfortable with technology. It's a business done via the internet these days.
Ron, if someone's watching this at home and would like to get more information or to contact you, how can they get a hold of you?
Sure, perhaps the best way is to go to our website, bellalliance.ca, so www.bellalliance.ca, or give us a call, 604-873-8723.
So it doesn't matter, first-time home buyers, anything, just come on in type of thing, give us a call?
We'd love to hear from you, particularly often in that early, but you're working with your realtor, you've got some questions, you're signing the contract, give us a call.
Ron Usher from Bell Alliance, thank you very much for coming on FYI. We'll definitely have you on again.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.